Here's the wave button, and I bet you know what that does. It turns on the wave view in each region. Why would you want to turn that off and on? Well, it can save you CPU time. You know, it takes memory up, it takes CPU calculations. You can have it off and on. There's options in SawStudio. Next we have the automation button, and you can use the A button on the keyboard to turn it on and off, or of course left click it. And I tell you what, let's record. I'm just going to show you real quick how easy it is to record automation. I turn the automation button on, I press the space bar to start, and I make some adjustments, and it writes it right there. There you see, we just wrote automation. Simple. And let's get the wave. I like to see the waves. Okay, next we have the offset. We'll get more into the automation. While I have you here, press the A button, you can do that. It turns on. And you can also right click and a menu shows up. There's hidden menus in various places. We will get into that in the automation video. And also the offset button. You can press the O, and that turns it on and off. Of course, you can left click. And we will get into the offset mode in the automation video. Okay, moving on, we have the solo button here, and what does that do? If you look, watch right here, any track we go to is now soloed, and that can come in handy. Left click it and it turns it off. And it also, if I turn say track 7, I want to hit the solo, it blinks letting you know that a track is soloed, and all you have to do is left click it and it turns it off. That's a convenient little option there. The sync button will light according to communication with other devices hooked up to SawStudio. And while we're up here, you'll notice it says C SawStudio Audio Contest EDL. It tells you what it's recorded at and whether the dither is off or on. You always have that right up top. You know exactly what you're dealing with and where it's at on your hard drive. Okay, let's move over to this area here, and we know this is where we put in our names of the track. And in the multi-track, if you just left click, it opens it up. You don't have to press shift like you do in the mixers. Watch, I'm going to click here. A left click, it didn't work. I have to shift left click. In the multi-track, you just left click and it opens it up. Of course, you can also control left click, and then you can go right down the track and enter in all the names. We went over that in the mixers videos. In this the numbers you can select and see how it says the cursor changes. Same as when channel is selected. Well, a track is selected. Channel, track. Very similar as the mixer. You can left click and it deselects them. You can shift left click and hold that mouse button and drag, and you can move that track wherever you want it. That's a shift, left click, and hold and drag. Right there. A lot of things are happening now, aren't they? And you look at this you look at this window and it's just like, oh, how do you do it, everything? Well, it's a shift click here, a control click there. If you know what you're doing, you're flying around this window, and it's extremely easy. You're not having to go up and pick out of menus and do stuff. You just do it right here, right in front of you, with a mouse click or a click on the keyboard. I love that. Another thing you can do is select these, or you can go down and Alt left click, and it selects in between your last the ones you just clicked. So I'll left click here, and say I want to select 1 through 17. I just hold down the Alt button and left click. Gotta like that. Alrighty. Okay, how would you change the color of your tracks? Well, you can go up here and clicking inside there and set MT texture. We'll set that top one to red. We'll set this one to green. Pretty easy to understand. And in this menu you'll see layers, and you have an option to disable the track. You can enable track FX auto bypass, and entries on current layers and background layers, copy automation to various layers, and you also have some selections here for soft edges on current layers and all layers. And what are these layers? Well, you're looking at the first, this is the first layer right here. First layer of a total of 8 layers. In every single track is 8 layers, or 8 layers deep, this being the first layer. And that's a real neat option that you can record. You can record 7 takes of one track and then go back and pick apart the best parts of each track if that's how you want to record. You have that option. Alright, of course you have your record buttons. That opens up these 2 boxes, and we will get into that when we record. But the ever important record button. Let's move down here to zoom. These 2 buttons here, minus the zoom and plus. Pretty easy to understand. And of course these buttons here have a plus and minus, and in SawStudio that means you can go to your keyboard by your numbers and press the plus and minus quickly. You really never have to use these buttons. They're there if you want them. I never use them. I'm always on the keyboard. You'll notice here the numbers on the keyboard. That's the number 1. This is the number 9. This is the number 5, 8, 2, 7, 4. Get the picture? That's fast. I like that. You also now can make these wider by using the page up or page down keys. Let's see how wide we can make track number 1. That's pretty wide. And now I can use the minus and plus. Look at that. Now if I click, I'm going to click right here. Now watch. It stays right in the middle. That's the 9. Here's the 1. 5. Gotta like that. Of course, you can use your right and left arrow keys. Let's page back down. and open her up. Another thing you can do here is I click on that cursor and hold it with my left mouse button. I clicked on the cursor and held it, and look, I can move around. Now watch what happens when I, well, let's make this now watch. I can scroll. Well, maybe that might be too wide. Oop. Oh, I'm sorry. I just want to do it smooth. I had the snap to grid on. And if you go over here, see, remember that in the mixer, the full mixer view? It works the same in the multi-track. I'm holding the left mouse button down, and I can just scroll. Boy, this little window comes alive, doesn't it? If you just know what you're doing. But so when we move down here, see that? That's so cool. Okay. Okay, and of course we have these buttons here get you to the sections. Of course, that's returns. Here's your outputs. Back to your inputs. That's what those buttons do. And I think that pretty much covers, you know, the multi-track view and its various buttons and how you get around it. But it is quite an awesome window. And when we get into recording and editing, I'm going to show you some more. But that is the multi-track view in SawStudio.